afternoon. It's an honor for me today to be sharing the stage with Kiranji. She is the epitome of leadership, and leadership is one topic that is driving much of today's generation and today's world. There's a lot of talk and there's a lot of learning and teaching going on about how to develop leaders and how to lead a team and how to achieve a goal and how to surpass your personal limitations. One thing that I've understood recently in the last few years in my interactions with people is that there needs to be a decentralization of leadership, and leadership needs to become personal. In the world as it is today, when it is rapidly becoming unmoored from all the traditional grounding of family and social units as we know it and we've grown up with, life today, social existence today has become far more nuclear than it's ever been. So the concept of personal leadership is one that has to be defined, understood, and then integrated into everyone's life. You don't have to be a corporate person, you don't have to be a professional. A homemaker, an older retired person, a youngster, a school, college student, everyone needs to understand the concept of being their own leader and applying these principles of leadership to directing your own life to where you want it to be. This is one very important thing that everybody has a right to be aware of. And the reason I say everybody has a right, I have a great deal of trouble adjusting to man-made and social constructs of privileged, underprivileged, lesser privileged, more privileged. Every child has an equal right to an opportunity of learning and of opening their eyes to the world around them. And children in an urban or a more urban atmosphere have more opportunities than the rest. So my direct and personal focus is on giving these opportunities of learning, of information. I would never arrogate myself to say it's a process of teaching or of imparting knowledge. Education has to be about imparting information and empowering the individual, the child or adult, with the means, the intellectual means, to process that information to make it knowledge for themselves. I know, it sounds a little bit a long-winded and a roundabout concept, but if you think on it for a moment, right now what we're talking about as education is go into a classroom, there's a set curriculum, there's a syllabus, there are a set number of books. Somebody comes and teaches according to a particular format, and then you have your testing and examination system. As Kiranji said, what's the difference between a test and an exam? At the end of the day, either less marks or more marks. That is the very fundamental basis of education today that has to be reworked and completely, disrupted. Learning is not about having information or having content thrown at you and then you're being tested on how much of that you have retained. Education and learning has to be about being able to process any kind of information in order to make an empowered decision about yourself and your life and the direction that you want to take it in. In order to do that, my first focus is looking at what the curriculum itself is. The curriculum is something that has been distilled down to a few core subjects and a certain amount of context, which is content that has been put out in the form of textbooks. And this is, I think, anybody who's recently been in an educational institution can agree that this is something that offers very little in terms of challenge or in terms of exciting your mind to do more. So anybody who, let me be politically correct. Most of youngsters, most of students who excel do so either by virtue of their own personal drive and initiative or because they've been fortunate enough to get a teacher that ignites that in them. And it is a very strong calling with me, and our organization, we're very young so far, but we're building, to take these opportunities of imparting information enabled by the best and the latest of technology that's available to the most privileged anywhere in the world, and taking these outside even your rural, your sub-rural areas, and starting from those regions. It is our dream to see every child in this country enabled with access to the same information, technology, tools to an empowered living as anybody living in a town or a city. And that is what is going to be the primary focus of our efforts towards education in the Life Again Foundation. And as such, it's very, very important for me to be here personally to see this kind of aggregation of information, of knowledge, of experience. Because it's very important also to see what has been done, what has been done right, what has obviously been done wrong, and then what we need to either leave out or what we need to rework. So the key word being, again, disrupting. And I think a lot of youngsters today this is a word that definitely resonates with a lot of youngsters today, because many of those that I meet are questing for disruption, either in the way that things have been done so far, so it's been taken for granted, but this generation has started questioning that and saying, no, I want to do X, Y, Z, but I want a different way of doing it, because this way that's been tradition doesn't make sense to me anymore in today's world. Because by the time we've woken up to this gap in experience, perception, and value, the world around us has changed completely. What social media, for example, means to me is something completely different than what it means to my daughter, and she's 17. And it's right now means something completely different to a 5- and 6-year-old. So this education that we're looking at bestowing upon children has to equip them to grow as fast as the world around them is growing, and has to empower them to reach out and aspire to the same opportunities that any child anywhere in the world can be. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is also a platform for me on which I had the privilege of laying out this vision and of asking your blessing, your encouragement, as well as all of your input and your thoughts. We're online everywhere. I mean, I'm pretty visible myself, and I would like to hear as much as you have to say, because everything is going towards evolving a new paradigm of learning that we are presently in the process of creating. Once again, to Indian Express and every one of you here, thank you so much. And Kiranji, this has been really a moment for me to cherish, that I have shared the dais with you, and I've had the opportunity to even share a school of thought with you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.